Hello, welcome to Ukrainican. Welcome back, all you Ukrainicans. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being with me. Today, I wanted to talk about, without giving any credit to this or shining a light on it, Steven Seagal's interview on the Russian state media channel, and some of the things that he said. I also would like to just say that I, like many other people, were, I don't want to say happy, but maybe proud. And proud's not the right word either. But what happened in Crimea, in terms of just the destruction to warplanes and the morale hit that the Russian military took, I think a lot of people felt a lot of pride, and maybe that led to some unnecessary bragging or talking about military action. I know that President Zelensky said in his address, and I think he did it quite eloquently, he discussed the fact that if you want headlines or you care about saving Ukraine, either it's one or the other, and you shouldn't be discussing anything concerning defensive or counteroffensive measures that the Ukrainian armed forces may or may not be taking. My peace-loving Buddhist husband thought it was odd when he saw that there were comments about potential action in Kherson, and again, if he thinks that you're not fighting your best war, I feel like maybe that's worth hearing. So that being said, I will say that when, again, the least reputable news outlet in the world, CNN, when they showed the satellite footage of the $10 million apiece warplanes having been blown up, I was quite happy with the math on that. And also just, I know that a lot of people were commenting that it had to make other Russian generals think, if this could happen in Crimea, what does this mean for me? I think that those are some really positive developments, regardless of where they came from. I know that it was suggested that it was just general Russian incompetence. I think they suggested it themselves, that it was their own arsenal kind of blowing itself up due to the heat and humidity, which again, I know that some people, it was suggested, Google it, I did. It happens a lot, but maybe not necessarily in the way that this occurred in Crimea. So with that being said, I will say that I was dumbfounded when I heard Steven Seagal on the Russian state media show speaking in English about his visit to the Donbass region and Olinevka, the prison in particular, and his extremely well-founded expert opinions about what happened there due to all of the experience he has in B-rated films in the U.S. The host of the show, what I will say, he was. I actually thought he was quite good. I'm going to say that. I thought that it was impressive to hear him kind of admit that there are no media outlets in the world that are pro-Russian right now. I think that's maybe fair. That, and again, I would say that might be for a good reason. And that he wanted to know why Steven Seagal was risking, again, I don't know what he's risking, since he's a B-rate movie star with, allegations of spousal abuse and having sexually assaulted people on film sets. That he was in Russia. He said, despite being from Michigan and his family hardly, I think even the host of the show said that he only had a little bit of Russian blood. Steven Seagal declared in English that Russia was his home, and that's why he was there, supporting the Kremlin's point of view on the military operation in Ukraine. Listening to him talk was kind of surreal. Hearing him say that he was 1,000,000,000% certain that Olinevka, the prison was attacked by Ukrainian armed forces using U.S.-supplied HIMARS, and that he could tell, based on he said he has some real-world experience in ground detonations and what they would do to a structure. He also said, he declared that there were hundreds of thousands of Nazis in Ukraine, and that he had interviewed hundreds and hundreds of them for, presumably for the documentary that he was filming at Olinevka. I look forward to seeing those interviews. I look forward to seeing the evidence that he has. The host of the show suggested that his documentary will never be played, that no one will see it, that he's going to be crucified by all press, and he will be, blacklisted from U.S. outlets. Again, he said, not all Americans are stupid. That was generous of him. He said that, when the American people are presented with evidence, they can weigh, some of them have the ability to weigh the credibility of the evidence, and that he thinks that his documentary will speak for itself. Again, in this age where people like me can put anything they want on YouTube, basically, and that's not even true. Sorry, YouTube, you have some very good guidelines, and that you've been sticking to them to try to stop the false spread of information, and I very much appreciate that. So, again, but I believe that it would be impossible for this documentary, in the event it's actually made, doesn't get viewed by someone. I hope I see it, because it sounds amazing. I would love to see what on earth he's talking about. The fact that I think he asked for 5 years for Russian citizenship, and it took 5 years for him to get it from his best buddy Putin, who doesn't even like him that much. The host of the show mentioned that his grandfather or great-grandfather was from the Buddhist part of Russia. Again, she just, I love that even they can't even accept him as Russian, even though the host of the show, when Steven Seagal said that he was there because it was his home, said that he loved that. Steven Seagal also said, without giving any sources or discussing where he found this to be true, when asked if he was being threatened in the U.S. and if people had been threatening to hurt his Hollywood career. I mean, he hurt his Hollywood career himself by being in movies and being terrible. And he's terrible. He's an awful human being. He's a terrible person. So I don't think that anyone's threatening his career or lack thereof. I know that he's some kind of martial artist. Even his claims about being the first non-Asian to own a dojo in Japan is incorrect. And maybe he's a great martial artist. I have no idea. That could be true. I don't think that necessarily makes you an expert in explosives or a documentarian, but well, hopefully we'll see. We'll see what he has to say in this alleged film that he's making. It was interesting as someone who doesn't have any interest or access to any pro-Russian. I have no interest in hearing a pro-Russian media outlet. Although I will say that I again, the host of this show was actually I while being completely unfair to the truth and definitely advancing whatever it is he's being told he has to say. I thought at least he was honest about the fact that the entire world is anti-Russia right now. And again, I would suggest that maybe that's for a reason, and it's not. I don't think it's as Steven Seagal suggested, because some unnamed source in Hollywood is paying actors to go visit President Zelensky. He interestingly enough said that you don't have to fire the first shot to start a war. If you have given your opponent no other option but a military action, that you are guilty of starting the war, of provoking, suggesting again that Ukraine somehow provoked this invasion. He used a lot of expletives in his interview, which I thought was interesting. Again, they were all in English. I don't know, maybe this was intended for an English-speaking audience, I'm not sure. But he said, if Ukraine wants to have, everyone be a Nazi, which the casual use of that term with respect to Ukrainian people is so offensive. I had the pleasure of spending the day yesterday with my parents, which I never get to do, and we went through a box of things that my grandmother had saved for my father. A lot of them actually were my grandfather's. They concerned his military service in World War II as a U.S. Marine, a decorated U.S. Marine. Actually, he received more medals and letters of accommodation than we even knew. He was that impressive. My dad made a comment about how that might have been first evidence in our family of Ukrainian military prowess. Just pictures of my Ukrainian family. And my grandfather I studied Japanese in college, the language, and he was disappointed in me for studying Japanese because, again, he fought in World War II. And that to him was offensive. I can't imagine hearing over and over again that your family, your people in Ukraine are Nazis, particularly when so many Ukrainian Americans fought against the Nazis. It's irresponsible to keep saying it. He said he has hundreds of interviews with people, so I, like maybe the stupid Americans, would love to see them. That being said, again, I also don't understand how it is he still doesn't speak Russian. This is, I think, my third month of trying to learn Ukrainian, which, if those of you who listen to the podcast Ukrainecast, they just did a really great episode about all of the people. I guess February 24th, one of the language apps that people have been using to study Ukrainian said that globally the interest, that 500 something percent increase in the number of people studying Ukrainian. And one of the hosts of the show, who is from Zaporizhzhia, he said he's noticed that there's been kind of the lingual revolution in Ukraine, where his friends who they grew up speaking Russian have made a conscious effort to speak Ukrainian, and that can be heard all over the country at the moment. People making a conscious effort to use Ukrainian even if they don't speak it perfectly. Steven Seagal, what are you doing? You've had years, I think, of living in Russia to learn the language. I don't understand how it is the host was able to speak English and you had to conduct the interview in English. I very much appreciate, when I listen to President Zelensky's speeches every day, I try to listen to the Ukrainian version without the English subtitles to see how many words I understand, and I'm very grateful that they do put English subtitles there. It's appreciated. I know by me, I think many other English-speaking people in the U.S., Canada, Great Britain, everywhere in the world where we speak English, it's appreciated. So again, the interview, if it's not worth watching. I wouldn't even pay attention to it. It's annoying and boring, and he says things that are honestly just to poke at the U.S., the country where he was born, that made him all his money, his real home that has supported him, although I'm hoping that it's been suggested that some of his actions are treasonous. I don't think they yet rise to the level of treason. Hopefully I'm wrong. I would love to see his U.S. citizenship revoked. I hope he can't come back here. I hope we freeze all his money if we haven't already done that. he's disgusting. I'm disgusted that he's an American, honestly. So with that, I will say, don't watch it, or if you have to watch it, at least get a barf bag ready, because it's full of crap, and you will be disgusted by it as well. I also will again say that without knowing or substantiating anything that's been written or said about what happened in Crimea, regardless, it does not appear that it could have been an accident of spontaneous combustion of ammunition, despite what the Russian military says, and regardless of how it happened, it was pretty impressive. And I hope that again that there are more of these incidents that give pause to the people. It was noted that this was the first time Russian people actually saw the war itself. It hasn't been lived for them. They've been living with these fake TV stations and Steven Seagal pumping a whole bunch of nonsense into their heads. And it was noted that there were several, that the beach was crowded with Russian vacationers who, for the first time, saw an explosion, who saw several explosions, and it scared them. And I hope that more of these, the truth about war, the truth about this war, is brought to the Russian people, because again, I don't think that Russian people are stupid, and I don't think that they at the moment have either the willingness, the ability, or access to information that would afford them the ability to make an informed decision about sending their sons, or as has been noted, Russian soldiers are being tricked and threatened and coerced into the front lines. I know that yesterday it was leaked that many of the Russian soldiers on the front lines have filed complaints with the equivalent of the Ministry of Defense in Russia, the Department of Defense there, saying that they were tricked. They don't want to die. They don't know why they're there. They've been offering prisoners their freedom to send them to the front lines. I hope that this is all a sign that this war is coming home to actual people, Russian people, and that they're learning what their government is doing, and that they leave Ukraine, and leave all of Ukraine, including Crimea. Steven Seagal said, let if Ukraine wants to be Nazis, let them be Nazis. We don't care. Again, that's not exactly what started this war, in according to the Russian Federation. But that's what he said. He said, but just get NATO out. Let Ukraine be neutral. In case he missed it, Ukraine's not currently a NATO member, which is why you haven't gotten your asses handed to you on a nuclear platter yet, I say, because again, you're holding the world hostage with a power plant, which is, as President Zelensky said, it's a new low in the floor on terrorism. Al-Qaeda, ISIS, they even they it is astonishing. It is astonishing that the Russian military, the Russian people, the Russian government is willing to risk not only their own soldiers, their own lives, but that of most of Europe and themselves, by purposely targeting and internally not taking any of the safety measures or precautions necessary, smoking around these reactors for the third largest nuclear power plant in the world. It's a new low. He's right. It's disgusting. So again, as far as Seagal's claims that that they would leave Ukraine to be their own Nazi selves, as long as they were neutral and not part of NATO. I don't, in case he missed it, everything about this war has done nothing but push more more countries, including neighbors Finland and Sweden, who have some pretty sophisticated militaries of their own, right on the border into NATO. And I think it's only a matter of time before Ukraine is a NATO member, as well as all of these, bordering countries that were former Soviet republics. They're all in NATO, which is, I think, the only reason they haven't been attacked yet. So, again, astonishing amounts of just pure. If you go on Wikipedia, which still hasn't been banned in Russia, you can know any of these things. So with that, I will say I hope that that it's a good weekend for everyone in Ukraine. We are all thinking, wishing, praying for you. Other thing that President Zelensky mentioned in his address last night was the Jose Andres, the Spanish chef, and his global kitchen. They've done amazing work, despite having been hit 5 times by Russian missiles, to provide meals to Ukrainians. I think as of today, as of the date of his speech, it was 130 million. And the chef mentioned that there needs to be a coordinated effort, that you don't want to, that the world needs to not maybe be donating to multiple sources that are attempting to achieve the same end. He's a very impressive man, and he's done some very impressive things, and it would be wonderful if maybe he could coordinate all of those kind of, hunger relief efforts that are going on. I think it seems like he's willing to do it. With that, I would, myself and anyone else who's looking to do something, I think contributing to his organization, it looks like it might provide some relief and some real help. Glory to Ukraine, Slava Ukraini. Thank you for defending democracy and freedom. The free world sees what you're doing, and we are all so grateful and appreciative. Okay. Goodbye.